My fiancé's family spent the whole dinner mocking my mother for being a housekeeper. I stayed quiet until the owner of the restaurant walked straight to our table, looked at my mom, and said something that changed the entire night. After that, nobody at the table could even look her in the eye. My name is Adrian. I'm 31 years old, and if there's one thing you should know about me, it's this. I can tolerate people insulting me. I cannot tolerate anyone insulting my mother. The dinner happened 2 weeks before my wedding. It was supposed to be a formal meeting between both families. My fiancée, Vanessa, came from a wealthy family. Very wealthy. Her father owned several properties. Her mother came from old money and never let anyone forget it. Their family dinners felt less like meals and more like interviews. My family was the complete opposite. It was just me and my mother. She raised me alone after my father died when I was 9. She worked as a housekeeper for years. Long hours, early mornings, sore feet, tired eyes. She cleaned houses so I could go to school in clean uniforms and eat warm meals. Everything I have in my life started with her sacrifice. That night I picked her up myself. She wore a simple navy blue dress and kept smoothing the fabric with her hands in the car. "Do I look okay?" she asked me quietly. I smiled. "You look beautiful, Mom." She smiled back, but I could tell she was nervous. The restaurant Vanessa's family chose was one of the most expensive in the city. Crystal glasses, white tablecloths, soft piano music. The kind of place where even speaking too loudly felt wrong. When we arrived, Vanessa's parents were already there, along with her older brother and his wife. Vanessa kissed me on the cheek, then greeted my mother politely. But her mother, Diane, looked my mom up and down in one quick sweep. That was the first sign. The second sign came when the waiter asked if anyone wanted wine. My mother said softly, "Just water for me, thank you." Diane gave a little smile. Of course. The way she said it bothered me immediately. Dinner started normally enough. Small talk, wedding plans, guest list, venue decorations. Then Vanessa's brother Connor asked my mother, "So what exactly do you do?" My mother answered honestly, "I'm a housekeeper." That was it. That was all it took. Connor leaned back in his chair with a smirk. His wife looked down to hide a laugh. Diane took a sip of wine and said, "Well, honest work is still work." Still work. I felt my jaw tighten. My mother just smiled politely. I knew that smile. It was the smile of a woman who had swallowed disrespect her whole life because survival mattered more than pride. Vanessa touched my hand under the table like she wanted me to stay calm. Then her father joined in. "You must be proud," he told me, "to have come so far despite humble beginnings." Despite. I looked at him. "I'm proud of my mother. There's no despite." The table went quiet for a moment. Then Diane laughed lightly. "Don't be so sensitive, Adrian. We're only talking." But they weren't only talking. They were measuring, judging, reducing her. A few minutes later, Connor asked my mother if she had ever eaten in a restaurant like this before. That did it. I put my fork down. But before I could speak, my mother gently touched my wrist under the table. "Not now." That touch stopped me. She didn't want a scene, so I stayed quiet, for her. Then Diane smiled at Vanessa and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Marrying into different social levels always creates adjustments. I just hope everyone will be comfortable at the wedding." My mother lowered her eyes. That was the moment I knew I would never forget this dinner. Vanessa looked embarrassed, but she said nothing. That hurt me more than her mother's words. I turned to her, waiting for her to say something. Anything. She just whispered, "Please, not here." Not here. I looked around the table and realized something. They weren't ashamed. They were comfortable. Comfortable humiliating my mother. Then something unexpected happened. A man in a black suit approached our table. He was older, elegant, confident. The staff around him immediately straightened as he passed. I recognized him from photos near the entrance. He was the owner of the restaurant. He stopped beside our table and looked directly at my mother. For a second, she looked confused. Then his face softened. "Maria?" he said. My mother stared at him. Then her expression changed completely. "Mr. Laurent?" The whole table went silent. Diane blinked. "You know each other?" The owner smiled. "Know each other?" He looked at my mother with something close to emotion. "This woman saved my daughter's life." Nobody moved. Connor frowned. "What?" Mr. Laurent pulled out the empty chair beside our table and sat down without even asking. The restaurant staff looked shocked, but no one interrupted him. He kept his eyes on my mother. "8 years ago," he said, "my daughter was alone in one of our old apartment buildings when a fire broke out in the laundry room. Smoke filled the hallway. Everyone panicked, but Maria ran back inside." My heart started pounding. I had never heard this story. Neither had anyone else at the table. Mr. Laurent continued, "My little girl was trapped in a bedroom. Maria covered her face with a wet towel, carried her out, and got her downstairs before the firefighters arrived." My mother looked down, clearly uncomfortable. "I only did what anyone would do," she said softly. Mr. Laurent shook his head. "No, most people were running out. You ran in." The entire table had gone completely still. He looked at me, then back at Vanessa's family. For weeks after that, my daughter refused to sleep unless Maria came to visit first. That's how much she trusted her. Vanessa's father shifted in his chair. Diane's face had lost all color. Connor said nothing now. Absolutely nothing. Mr. Laurent looked at my mother again. "I offered to help you many times. You never asked for anything." My mother gave a small smile. "Because your daughter lived. That was enough." The owner stood slowly, then did something I will never forget. He placed his hand over his heart and bowed his head slightly toward my mother. "In this restaurant," he said calmly, "everyone is treated with respect, especially the woman I owe my daughter's life to." No one at our table could look up. Then he turned to the waiter and said, "This table's dinner is covered tonight, but only for Maria and her son." He smiled at me. "The rest can pay for themselves." Then he walked away. The silence he left behind was brutal. Diane tried to recover first. "Well, that's certainly a surprising story." I looked at her and said, "No, what's surprising is how comfortable you were insulting a woman you didn't even know." Vanessa finally spoke. "Adrian," but I wasn't done. I turned to her too. "You sat there and let them disrespect my mother." Her eyes filled with panic. "I was trying to avoid drama." "No," I said quietly. "You were trying to avoid choosing a side." That landed hard. My mother whispered my name, but I shook my head gently. I had stayed quiet long enough. I stood up. "So let me make this easy," I said. "If my mother is too low for your family, then I'm too low too." Vanessa stared at me. "What are you saying?" I took off my engagement ring and placed it on the table. "I'm saying there won't be a wedding." My mother gasped softly. Diane looked horrified. Connor looked stunned. Vanessa stood up so quickly her chair nearly fell. "Adrian, don't do this." But my mind was clear for the first time all night. "I watched how your family treated the person I respect most in this world," I told her, "and you said nothing. That tells me everything I need to know." Vanessa started crying. Maybe she loved me, maybe she didn't. But in that moment, it didn't matter. Because love that stays silent during humiliation is not love I can trust. I helped my mother stand up, and we walked out together. As we reached the entrance, the owner's daughter came out from a side hallway. She must have been in her teens by then. She saw my mother and instantly ran toward her. "Maria!" She hugged her tightly. My mother almost cried. I did too. Outside in the car, my mother stayed quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I'm sorry." I looked at her in disbelief. "For what?" "For your wedding." I took her hand. "Mom," I said, "losing that wedding was not a loss. And I meant it. Sometimes a single dinner shows you the truth years of romance tried to hide. I didn't lose a fiancé that night. I escaped the wrong family. And I did it standing beside the right person, my mother. If you were in Adrian's place, would you have stayed quiet or walked away? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe for more real, powerful stories that hit deep.